I got chased by a pit bull today. So there's that. One last point. There's a bunch of things that I want to talk about on this one last point segment. And all of those things took a back seat to my experience this morning on a run, literally getting chased by a pit bull. And I thankfully for my sake, it was like a stocky, like it was clearly a pit bull. I saw its face. It was like a stocky, not as in great shape as you might think pit bull. But nevertheless, I was on a run and I saw something moving in like the bushes. And then I was probably 20 feet away and this pit bull just comes out, dog comes out and just starts looking at me. I'm like, all right, here we go. Go off the sidewalk through some of the parkway grass at the area that I was running in onto the street, thinking maybe if I just take a long way around, I can't turn around. It's not going to work. Maybe if I go a long way around, this dog will just kind of like, all right, see what happens. See ya. Not the case. Dog kind of saunters over to me and then starts running at me. And then I'm now running further into the street, which is my back is towards traffic, which generally I wouldn't do if I'm running on the street. Cause I know a bunch of runners would be like, you should never run with traffic, always run against it. So you could see the cars coming. Yes, but I was on the sidewalk with a parkway in between. So that's why I was on that side of the street. Anyways, now I'm running into traffic. So that's not good. Realize, okay, I probably, whatever biting the dog may or may not do to me it's going to be worse if I get hit by a bus. So then I come back onto the sidewalk and now I'm in like a full blown sprint up a hill, getting chased by a pit bull. And the only reason I say that is because as I'm running, I'm thinking in my head, Matt Walsh has been on this for like a year now, saying that pit bulls no good. Now I'm sure that we're going to get a ton of emails and a ton of comments like, oh, I have a pit bull. It's fine. Yeah. Look, dogs that are known to be aggressive, what good are you doing having those in your house? Again, Matt's much more fervent on this. He's much more brash about banning pit bulls. But man, yeah, of course. Like I look at the dog and I think, yeah, this dog's going to chase me. I start sprinting up the hill. Thankfully, I was able to outrun it. Also, thankfully, there was a police officer that was driving up the hill at the same time. He flipped on his sirens and kind of like pulled in front of me and like rolled down his windows like, do you need to get into the back seat? And then, of course, I screamed, like, oh, no, ICE, I'm an American citizen. No, of course, that's not what I said. I said, thankfully had outrun it at this point. I'm like, I'm good, but thank you. But then, so this dog, if you buried the lead here, dog was off leash, no collar. Okay. And I don't want to disparage the police officer because I know he was looking out for my best interest. But after I'm running away from this pit bull, I say, I'm good, thanks. I'm still running pretty hard up the hill. I'm turning around. Dog is effectively slowed down and stopped behind me. Police officer says, you need a ride? You good? I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it. He then drives away. Like, dude, there's a pit bull on the loose that's chasing people around the streets here. I don't know what's in your purview here, but maybe, I don't know, shoot it. Producer Glenn didn't like that. This is what I'm thinking in this moment, man. Like I'm thinking, am I gonna have to kick this thing? I don't know what's happening. Not advocating for just randomly shooting dogs. That's not what I'm saying. But he went, yeah. Thankfully, when I came back around, which is probably half an hour later, because I got to go down that same street, the pit bull was not there, even though I was wired. I was like, oh, head on a swivel. Where's this thing? It wasn't there. So maybe I'm going to give the police officer the benefit of the doubt that he drove away and then called animal control. And then, they took care of the problem. But I don't know. It was a harrowing experience. One kind of says something to the culture of the area that I live in. I live in Southern California, and without getting too stereotypical here, a lot of wandering dogs around the area that I live. A lot of them. We saw a dog at the park one time, just no leash, no owner, nowhere in sight. Corral the dog, bring it back to where we think it came from, and the owner says, "Oh no, this doggy loves the park." You can't just let your dog out of your house to go to the park across the street. That's not how any of this works. It's not a dog park. It's not enclosed. Producer Glenn it can't hold his tongue anymore. He's
I have opinions. I have opinions about this. Is
this going to be the first one last point where producer Glenn and Joe Bob fight? By the way, the host is always right.
The host is always right. The boss is always right. But I may be disagreeing with Matt Walsh. So sorry, Matt. I do like you, but I feel like it's in principle, animals that are aggressive should be treated differently than animals that are not. But I think in particular cases, you should give your pit bull every chance to succeed in our world by training it well. Like if you are the owner of that dog, give it a yard to play in with fences that it can't get out of. Don't let it run loose like your friend in the park there. No, it's not your friend. You just said it was a random stranger. But like those aren't great ways to care for animals in the modern world. This isn't the 1800s where everyone knows everyone and everyone's pet is obvious. It's a strange dog. You can't always assume the best intentions. And, one wrong assumption by you could be the difference between getting home and filming the show later or going to the hospital, right? Like that could be very dangerous. So you have to be cautious. But I feel like, for the sake of the animal, like we're compassionate people. We live in a society that tries to take care of animals. I think on large, not everyone, but most would rather see that animal living in a safe place and well trained. So that's on the owner. I feel like that's a problem with the owner, not the animal for just being an animal.
I 100% agree. The problem lies in, at what point is there a breaking point where the threshold has been crossed to that too many people who own pit bulls aren't doing all the things that owners should do? And it's like owning a pit bull is not a constitutional amendment. So you can say, all right, you don't get this anymore. This is not, I mean, we do it to a certain extent with other things that you're just not allowed to have because
there are animals that are illegal to own. And, theoretically they could say, well, this breed of dog is now on that list.
Yeah, and I don't want to misquote any of the statistics, but Matt makes a pretty compelling case. And also, too, I look at this, too, from a like, thankfully, I was running by myself. If we were on a family walk where I've got 2 kids, a toddler and an infant and a wife, I'm doing some bad things to that dog. I recognize that you take from that what you will. That's what I'm doing as a father trying to protect, because you don't know. And we were out walking yesterday, and there's a bunch of dogs that were off leash, and I carried the 2-year-old because I don't know, you don't know. Some lady even said, like, or you don't worry about the dog. I don't trust you. Like, you've got a big dog, I've got a small child. Like, oh yeah, your dog's off leash. I get it. This area, I'm not, I'm not out there saying, hey, you got to leash your pet in this area, because we were visitors and that's kind of the culture there, and that's fine. We're up in Santa Barbara, and bunch of people are, my dog's fine. That's fine. I can see that you think that. I don't trust you. I don't know you. I don't know your dog. I don't know any of these things. And my priority is keeping the kids safe.
Even if that dog is fine. So here's the thing. Like I've mentioned before on One Last Points, I'm a cat guy. I have 4 cats. I love them. I never thought I'd love cats, but I do. And some of them get a little toothy. If you play with them, they'll bite you, but it's not like an attack bite. It's more of a cats play that way. Yeah. And I know, because I felt them bite hard unintentionally, because I'm playing with them, like, anyways, and not intending to attack, but I felt the full bite, and they do a soft bite. So, okay, I can handle that. But if, like, say a friend is over with a child who says, can I pet your cat? I'll say, yes, gently, but be careful. And I wouldn't ever say, like, oh, my cat's fine. My cat is fine, but that bite for me is fine, not for a child. Like, you have to understand that. Well, I feel like as an animal owner, you need to understand not everyone looks at your dog the same way you do. Not everyone loves cats, or my cats, the same way I do. That'll always be the case.
Yeah, and it's whether or not we've crossed the threshold of, all right, people are, there are too many of these particular dogs that are doing too much damage to be like, yes, as a responsible owner, you should be doing all these things. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I guess fortunately from a freedom standpoint, you're not required to do any of those things. But also, if if other people have to pay the price for that, that's a problem in and of itself. So, what I took away is producer Glenn is pro dogs murdering people. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I took away from that. And before you have a chance to respond,
yes, I would state it differently, but sure, whatever.
Good. Here you have it. It has been one last point. Producer Glenn is pro Americans getting mauled to death by vicious dogs on their runs, enjoying themselves, enjoying a nice morning out. But that's that. A lot of, geez, yeah. I mentioned at the beginning, I have a bunch of things that I'd like to talk about on our, we took a trip up to the Santa Barbara area over the weekend and saw some boomer libs protesting on Saturday. They're basically just getting together. They were having a good time together, which at a certain point you're like, I get it. Maybe you should spend your time, I don't know, feeding the homeless, taking care of other things that are actually important to society. But you know what? They are just having a good time. Maybe we'll talk about all of that a little bit more, or a little bit later on a future edition of One Last Point. It has been One Last Point. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless America.